We're back. We're back. It's Madison, the coach, and my partner, Aaron Scott Young. So, Aaron, I was just saying, Madison's, I think, talent right now and her purpose in life. She's a great daughter, a great granddaughter, and a great friend. And it's not easy to be a friend. We were just talking about during the break. It is not easy to be a friend, and you're a good friend to a lot of people, Madison. You actually care about people. So, congratulations, honey.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to the tease before this segment was, you know, you talk to a lot of people and they say, well, America's in trouble. America's not into trouble. America is not in trouble. If you turned off the news, most of us would think life is pretty darn good, honestly. Let me just get serious for a second. You need to, look, I watch the news. I'm kind of a news junkie, but I'm objective when I'm watching the news. I don't buy into the hype. When you're in the media, Aaron and I and Madison today are in the media, so we have a message. Our message is from our heart. We have a good spirit about it. We're not trying to manipulate you, and we're not trying to sell you anything. But the TV people, they have an agenda, and they want you to come back and back and back because the advertisers pay for all their six-figure incomes. And if you don't come back, if they can't register you, if they can't find the statistics, if they don't know how many hundreds of thousands or millions of people are watching your show, they're not going to advertise. So it's a lot of hype, hype, hype. And people buy into this hype. Look, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not laying in a hospital bed, if you're not dying of some horrible disease, there's no reason why you can't have a great life. And I can't be more serious. But it starts with your want to. You have to have a big want to. So Aaron Scott Young, where did you find this big want to? Where did you, because you've been successful for a long time and you're still a young man. Was the want to instilled by your parents? Where did it come from?
I think that the want to, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
There
great.
we go.
Yeah,
there we go. Oh, we had more technical, but that's all right. I could hear myself twice. Here's the thing. I think that my want to came from living in a family that didn't have very much. It was a happy family, but we didn't have any money. Matter of fact, for years we didn't have our own car. We just had a company car, and I knew that if I was gonna have more, I had to figure out a way to get it. And I figured out ways to make money from the time I was about 14 years old, and I realized pretty young that it wasn't nearly as hard to make money as everybody seemed to act like it was, that if you just provided some kind of a service that other people needed, they would buy it. And if you did it with a good attitude, they'd tell their friends. And so what happened was that from a very young age, Coach, you know, I saw that by looking around and saying, well, somebody's going to do this thing. Somebody's going to, you know, build this house. Somebody's going to own this football team. Somebody's going to, like Disney, somebody's going to start an amusement park. Over 200 banks turned him down. Walt Disney, over 200 banks turned Walt Disney down for Disneyland, even though he was a successful guy. He had a big goal. When you start going, well, somebody's going to do it. Why can't it be me?
Well,
then it changes everything. It changes, and you go, "Oh, look at that! I did it." And then that's how you get the want to. At some point, you've got to have an experience where you actually go, "Oh, look, I actually can do it. What else do I want to do?" And then the world becomes your playground instead of, you know, your some kind of a torture chamber.
But our generation, the greatest generation, came home from World War II and they earned
That's not
everything.
My generation.
Well, no, I know.
It's my grandfather's generation. Hold on, I'm 51.
It's not your generation. What I was saying.
Generation.
Yeah, it is my generation. I'm proud to be in the greatest generation. But people came home from World War II, and they had to build houses. There had to be places for people to live. We had to build America. I mean, maybe the greatest time in the history of America was from 1952 to 1962, when the country was expanding. So now these kids are growing up with everything. I mean, I'm a doting grandfather. My grandkids go without nothing. I mean, they have everything, and sometimes I have to pinch myself and say, why am I doing this? The millennials have grown up with a lot of stuff. So my concern is, do they have a want to try to make the world better, to make their lives better, to make their relationships better? I don't know. I'm confused about the want to, because if you grow up with all these technology things. If you grew up and your parents give you a car, and a credit card and blah blah, and it keeps going and going and going, where do you learn how to get this want to?
Well, I tell you, first of all, I think most parents are not giving their kids cards, credit cards or automobiles, or even a laptop computer that's a new one. I think that what happens is when you have some financial success, and I mean, I'll just go on a limb and say, you and I have both had financial success and business success over the long haul. And so when you're part of that small percentage that can facilitate what you just described, I think you can get a little bit of a distorted view. Most people, I just read a statistic that said to qualify to be in the top 50% of wage earners in the United States, you're making $27,000 a year. Okay, $27,000 puts you in the top 50.
I got to challenge you on that. So that puts you in the top 50%? No, that's no. No, I got to challenge you, partner. I think it's somewhere around. Kyle's doing the research right now, but I think it's somewhere around 42.
No, you're talking about median income, and that's going to be different from state to state. Nationally, the median income is in the 40s.
Yeah. You're talking about personal income?
I'm talking about, I did some research about what puts you, what I did was, what is the top 1%? What is the top 2%? Because we hear about it in the news. And the statistics I got, to be in the top 1%, you had to have I'm not talking about assets, I'm talking about income.
Right.
Had to have income of $383,000 a year. Put you in the top 1%.
Got it.
Now, what I'm saying is what was surprising was how fast that went down into the 2, 5, 10, 50, but there were a lot of people not making very much money. And I think that's where I grew up. I grew up in that group. My best friend's dad had a glass shop. They put the glazier, they put in windows. And it was a little dinky shop out in the outskirts of Portland, Oregon, but they had a Cadillac and they lived on the other side of the river, so I just thought they were freaking rich because I lived on a street that had a sandblasting business on it and a bunch of apartment complexes in one house, my house, right, my dad's house. And so there was no silver spoon. There was no anything. And I see some of my nieces and nephews who are growing up not without all the benefits. One of my sisters, they didn't even have internet in their home for years until about a year and a half ago.
So do you think,
I'd say the kids that have, I think what they want to do is they want to say, let's make it all fair for everybody. It's Marie Antoinette. There's no bread, we'll let them eat cake. But I think there's a huge part of the population who sees commercials and marketing that says you should have all this, yet there's no possible financial way for them to have it in their situation. And they're the ones with the big want to. They're the ones with the big want to.
Well, the want to part is complicated, but do you want to make money? Do you want to live in a better neighborhood? Do you want to be safer? There's
all those things.
Yeah, all those things. So there's a lot of want tos, but in the real world, fortunately, unfortunately, and I'm saying fortunately because I'm a capitalist, and whether you can argue with me all day about our capitalistic system, whether it's fair or not fair, but if you have to be a competitor. So I think it starts with wanting to compete, and I think this is where I'm concerned, because if everybody gets a trophy, like Madison, you're a cheerleader, so everybody gets a trophy. Does anybody get MVP? Do you have anybody that gets? You just went to a banquet. Did anybody get MVP?
No, it's all fair. Everybody gets the same thing.
Everybody gets the same thing. So. It
is
not
all fair. It's all homogenous. It's all we're not identifying until you get to the high level. But then you've got people that are making millions of dollars and wearing giant diamond rings because they won a bowl game somewhere, And there's a real disconnect between the people that you're admiring and then your life experience in elementary school, middle school. It starts in high school, you start winning. But I think it's unfair to the kids to not give them a chance to have somebody rise to the top.
But let me stay on this competitive thing for a second. My concern is if competition isn't appreciated or understood, if you're not competitive, you're going to get run over. I'm sorry. I mean, unless you come up with an idea like what's the Facebook Zuckerman? What's his name, Kyle?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Unless you come up with a genius of an idea, and how many of those people are there out there? There's not that many. I mean, there's not that many Steve Jobs out there, or Mark Zuckerbergs, or Aaron Scott Young. But
no, thank you very much.
Yeah,
they call those guys unicorns because they don't really exist. It's basically impossible to be that. It's a fluke. It's amazing. There's a magazine cover right now that says the only unicorn.
My granddaughter's a unicorn. I'd argue with that. You're a unicorn. How do you say it? Unicorn? Unicorn? Corn in a can? What is it? What are you talking about here? Is it
unicorn?
What is that, Kyle?
Well, it's a unicorn.
What's a unicorn?
It's a horse with a horn on it. It's a mythical beast, impossible to capture.
It's completely pure-blooded, and it's lovely, and it'll make you live forever.
I must live somewhere where there's no unicorns.
You got to watch more Harry Potter. Okay?
Yeah, apparently I don't know anything about unicorns. So there's real horse, or no, this is a mythological.
They say people like Mark Zuckerberg are a unicorn because they're so rare.
Oh, that's a unicorn.
It's a mythological creature.
Madison
that's
just
impossible to capture.
So the rest of us, don't we have to compete? Can we get right to it? Don't you have to be a competitor? If you're, in my mind, when I'm interviewing potential salespeople, I want them to compete for the job. I want them to fight for the job. I mean, I just offered these two guys a lot of money, and both of them turned me down. So that's not a good sign. Did you just?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah,
you're talking about competition and
stuff.
It's
$50 a question. I'm waiving the fee right now. Go ahead.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
How important is, because you talk about competition and stuff, and I just thought when you said everybody gets a trophy and stuff, how important is failure with business? Because this is about startup biz. How important is that? Is it important?
It's amazingly important. We always learn in our failure. We always learn. It's a tuition you pay for another class. It's the fee you pay to do better. If you learn to fail forward, everybody that's successful is failing forward.
And I think that goes to your point, is that the kids they're not learning how to fail. They're just getting handed everything.
I love that, Kyle. I have a little different twist on it, different spin. I say understand that failure is not getting out of bed. That is real failure. When you don't get out of bed and you make excuses and you cancel appointments and you don't go to school, that's failure. Everything else is kind of a temporary defeat. So you'll see when you come down to LA here, we built a new studio. Well, we're trying to get all the electronics and bugs worked out, and sometimes it doesn't work. It doesn't mean we failed. It just means that we had some short-term temporary defeat. Now, Madison, you're in cheerleading. You practice all the time to really get good. And you've won. You're a national champion. I saw your jacket, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in real world, you can applause. Let me hear the applause. Yeah, she's a national champion. But in the real world, we don't practice. This is what I see in business and in life. People do not put in the 4 or 5 days a week of practice like ball players do, like cheerleaders do. And if you don't practice, and people say, Coach, what do you mean by practice? I mean read every day, find books, and in those books are the experts, not every expert, not every book, but in books are the masters of their craft. You start to read what the masters have to say, and now you're practicing every day. Now you're putting great stuff inside your subconscious mind, and it's the subconscious mind that does all the heavy lifting. Aaron Scott Young, where did you get the mastery of understanding this? Were you a reader? How did you learn to practice your craft?
Sure. I read, and I surround myself with, really great people. I'm surrounded by really great people, and I've always tried to be reaching up to people that maybe others would have thought were out of their reach. But I thought, why not at least try to meet this person? Why not ask them a question? Why not? What I find is the most successful people are also some of the most generous with their time and with their advice or counsel, if you'll ask them. And so that's important. And I was an athlete in high school. But I'm going to tell you, Coach, I'm finding in my business, competition does not help me. We don't compete really. I got to tell you, we're not competitors. We are very big into cooperation. We have so many powerful affiliate relationships, and I know that if I help somebody get what they need, they're going to keep coming back to me. If I help another company be successful by helping them promote their product, they're going to refer clients back to me. And what I'm finding is you can get success by being competitive, but you can get really wealthy by cooperation.
Well, I think you're misunderstanding. I want to argue with you too. When I say competitive, it's an energy level. Look, you're competitive, but you don't want to use the word competitive because you think it's salesy or something. I'm motivated, but I'm not trying to beat anybody else. I guess I'm competitive with myself. And you're the CEO of your company, so you need to be more honest because you're very competitive. It's an energy. When you're competitive, it's an energy, and if people abuse that energy, they come across as pushy. Kyle, do you love salesmen or not? Be honest.
Salespeople? Not a big fan of them, no.
No, okay, no. Because they're too pushy, too forward?
I mean, in the run-ins I've had with them, I've had sales jobs in the past.
Run-ins.
Run-ins I've had with them in the past. Run-ins. But it seems like their only motivation, and this is a small sample size for me, but it seems like their number one motivation is money. Like I can't have a normal conversation with some of them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when I say competitiveness, partner, I'm saying it's an energy level. That I see people that have such low energy. I don't know how they function in life. I don't know how they would get their point across. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That if you have low energy, like Hillary does, according to Donald Trump. That's what Donald Trump said. I had to get a little thing in there. But she looks like she's tired and has low energy. That's just anyway.
She's been having to watch, Yeah, she's been having to manage herself and her husband for a long time.
Trump's exhausting. Trump's exhausting. So
he just wears you down, right? He wears you down.
Yeah.
And anyway, let's not belabor this. The fact is, you're right that the biggest.
Of course I'm right.
You have got to be at least competitive with yourself. You've got to at least be saying, "Can I do more? What else could I do? Why?" What's my personal best? Let's see if we can do better. And I think that's great. There's a word that most people don't know. The word is enmity. Enmity. And enmity basically means I win by you losing.
Madison, write this
down. If I'm going to win, you're going to look it up, Madison. It's a spelling bee word. Enmity. I win by you losing. And my argument is that I do better when I'm not trying to beat somebody else, but when I'm trying to build something and build.
How do you spell that? She's looking it up right now. How do you spell enmity?
ENMITY. I think enmity.
Okay, we're going to go to break. I'm going to come back and continue this one point because I haven't made it yet. Do you lay in bed or do you get out of bed? Don't answer. We're going to come right back on the show. We call Start a Biz, heard all over the country. Our flagship station right here in the Los Angeles area is KHTS 1220 AM. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to Start a Biz. Madison and the coach and my wonderful partner, Aaron Scott Young, somewhere in a bunker in Las Vegas at a beautiful resort. That Lake Las Vegas is nice. I have to tell you, I really do like that.
It's a good place. If you haven't been here, it's really worth taking a 30-minute drive off the strip.
Yeah, it's in Henderson, and it's nice.
It's gorgeous out here, yeah.
All right, so we only have a couple minutes left. Big 2 hours coming up next week. A lot of good stuff next week on Start a Biz. But let me just finish off this short segment by saying, back in the day when the HR department would let me in there, they didn't let me in there anymore. But I would ask people, do you take a hot shower, cold shower? What's the temperature of your shower? And people would look at me and they go, why is this guy asking questions like that? And then I'd ask them, do you hop out of bed or do you lay in bed? And so this goes back to why people struggle. If your energy level is at a point where people don't recognize it. Why do you think you're not getting a raise? Or why do you think you are getting a raise? Because your bosses, whether or not, are evaluating. Your coworkers are evaluating. Everybody's evaluating you in life. And you wonder, just recently I went into a store and the owner of the store was there. I don't want to tell you what store. The owner was the store. He barely had enough energy to sell me. In fact, I don't think I bought. I think I said thank you very much, and I walked down. I got in my car and I said, "Really? This guy is trying to make a living?" So, my question to you: do you lay into bed or you get out of bed?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to answer both of your questions, which nobody's ever asked me this question before.
Are they not good questions?
They're good questions, but nobody's ever asked me. So I'm sitting here going, "Wow, let me evaluate." Let me tell you exactly what I do. When the alarm goes off, I shouldn't say never, but 99.9% of the time, I do not hit snooze. I get up early, but I do this. I don't spring from my bed to into the day. I actually do a little. I take about 30 seconds, and I kind of appreciate the fact that I'm waking up, and I kind of feel my body and kind of am aware of myself and thinking about, okay, what's this day going to be all about? And then I get right up.
No, that's good. So you get out of bed. No,
it's a little bit of a meditative thing, but I get up, I make the bed. Well, I straighten up my side if my wife's still in bed. And I get up and I take both a hot and a cold showers, Coach.
All right, so
I get on. I would hire you. The last 30 seconds is cold water.
I would hire exactly that. That's what leaders do. So Madison, you get out of bed, right?
No.
You lay in bed?
Yeah.
You do lay in bed?
Yeah, for like 20 minutes.
Oh my God! Now, and you take a hot shower or a cold shower?
Well, I take a warm shower, but it is good for your pores for like the last minute to turn on cold water.
So that's a good sign that you turn on the cold water. Okay, that's what leaders do. That's what leaders do.
And she's learning. She's listening and hearing what's going on and doing something that's not always comfortable that's better for her.
Well, and you may know this because you've got 4 kids. She runs the family. She's 13 years old, and she literally runs the entire family. There's 17 of us. And you probably have that too. There's 17 of us, and she runs all 17 of us. So she's in charge. All right, so we pulled back the curtain a little bit today, Aaron Scott Young and myself, and we want you to get to know us a little bit. The more comfortable you are with us, that we're not trying to sell you anything, we're not trying to market anything, we're not trying to manipulate anything. We talk from our heart because both of us feel a sense of gratitude. You just heard Aaron Scott Young say it. He and I do the same thing. I go to bed and I say a prayer, and I wake up and I say a prayer. So with a minute left, what do you want to say? Got a whole minute.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say as we are winding down toward the end of the year. We're going to be setting goals. Here's one of my favorite quotes I ever heard was from a guy named Les Brown. And he said, the problem isn't, as in business or in life, the problem isn't that we aim too high and miss. It's that we aim too low and hit. And so if you're looking at your life right now and you're going, well, I don't know when the time is. I don't know what's right. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if anybody will trust me, if they'll buy from me, or if they'll like me. I would say, no kidding, as hypey as it sounds, as hypey as it sounds, you've got something special that nobody else can bring to the world. And if you feel a desire inside to break out of whatever's been holding you back and start doing something, you take little baby steps. Like I said earlier, we can only go part way towards our dreams, and we have to leap into the dark to our success. But it takes getting up out of bed in the morning, getting dressed, getting ready, going after your dreams, even when you're not exactly sure how it's going to happen. You guys can do it. When you set goals this year, let's make sure that 2016 you hit the goals, and we're going to be here all year long helping you.
Amen, brother. Amen. Our show brought to you by Laughlin USA, laughlinusa.com. Check them out. We'll see you next week.